My name is Brett Swartz. I'm with Dan Palmer, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 takeaways from the Deferred Sales Trust in 30 days. Dan Palmer, you've been learning a lot about the Deferred Sales Trust, capital gains taxes is what we're doing here. And we always like to document our journey so people can come alongside. And imagine someone's learning about this for the first time, whether they're a potential new customer or client of ours, and or they're a business professional looking for ways to grow their business with the Deferred Sales Trust. What would you say have been let's start with the top 10, but you can start in any order of, it doesn't necessarily have to be, 1 to 10, but it could just be, what are 10 takeaways that you feel like you could share? We'll start with number 1.
First of all, it's awesome to be here. If you're watching this and you're new to the DST, you're right with me. And so it's been a really fun journey. I've had the privilege of sitting in with a lot of clients, hearing their stories, hearing their concerns, hearing what's worked for them in the past and what has not worked for them in the past, and seeing how the DST can unlock the capital gains and really explode them into freedom and impact into the future. And so I would say the first thing that stood out to me in the last 30 days is just the idea of using the DST as an installment sale and a trust to defer the capital gains. So, which is really kind of the heart and soul of what it does. And so that would be the first one, just realizing that was a possibility. And a lot of people think it's too good to be true. They haven't heard about it before. And then they find out about it, or they bring their CPA in for a meeting and they get to meet with Campbell Law, who we partner with, and their eyes are opened and they can't believe that they've been operating without this incredible tool for all these years.
Yeah, exactly right. So just the fact of that it's even possible to do what we do using a trust with an installment sale, right? And then it sounds like I think just the awareness, I think is what you're saying, Dan, like just the awareness this is even out there, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's like, hey, this thing is real. It's out there. It works. And most people don't know about it still. Like we like to call it the best tax strategy your CPA has never heard of, right? And sometimes when the CPA hasn't heard of it, and they don't know about it, then it becomes this, oh no, where do I go from here?
Exactly. Another one for me would just be like hearing the stories of people who felt so trapped by realizing that their only options were to pay the tax or to do a 1031 exchange and kind of kick the can down the road, and to realize that there's another option out there. And so, Brett, maybe you can share, in your opinion, ways that the DST can solve problems that the 1031 exchange can't.
Yeah, the 1031 versus the DST is a common. I like to say the battle of the tax deferral strategies, right? And in fact, I'll go in like bigger pockets in these different places. I'll even go speak at conferences, and there's always the 1031 folks, and I love the 1031 folks, right? I was a 1031 folk. I am a 1031 folk, right? So I feel like at times it's like I'm trying to bring the good news of the DST to the old 1031 guard, the traditional 1031, like the traditional commercial real estate broker. That's what they've been, the tried and true method of doing things. And it's interesting to see the responses, right? Once people like hear like, oh, you can do that. And it kind of goes into 3 phases. Number 1, seems like we'd already know about this if it was really legit, right? Number 2, wow, you can actually do with different asset types. I think sometimes people have missed that. When they think 1031, they're always just thinking regular investment real estate and investment real estate, which is true. And most people are in the world of just, if they're selling something either like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or cryptocurrency, or businesses, or real estate, they're in that niche world. And the neat thing about the DST, it combines all of them. And so I like to say is like the DST is kind of like a 1031 exchange to move from crypto to business, or move from crypto to real estate, or real estate to crypto, or business to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. In other words, you can diversify. It becomes that vehicle. It's an exponential way of exiting, because there's exponential more ways to not only defer the tax, but to invest into different asset classes, which creates tons of opportunity, right? It's not just a stagnant one-dimensional way of investing, trade real estate for real estate. And right now is such a great time to get out of real estate. Prices are actually still relatively, stabler than you might think they might be, and who knows where they're going to be, because interest rates are going higher and debt is not as attractive, and a lot of debt is getting reset. The DST becomes that real solution for people to exit and diversify, right? And so we like to connect three concepts. And tell me what you think about this, Dan. It's tax flow, cash flow, and debt flow. What does that mean to you, Dan, when I say that? And what comes to mind after 30 days?
Well, the good part of that I've seen clients get really excited about is the idea that by using the deferred sales trust, you're able to defer what you would have paid in taxes and make that as an investment. And so now you're taking what you would have paid and it becomes an investment instead of an expense. And that money can flow back and start to compound within your account. And so I think that's really cool. And you just took one of my takeaways, Brett, because my next one was going to be one of the shocking takeaways for me was the fact that the DST can work for crypto. Because I have a lot of friends that are heavily into crypto. They've been holding. And of course, we're at all-time highs right now. And they're thinking, oh, I want to take my gains. And surprise, a lot of that gain is going to disappear when you exit. And so the fact that we're able to help those people is just an incredible takeaway from the last 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely. The cryptocurrency, we think it's the number one opportunity for anyone who's listening to this. If you know anybody who has over $1 million gain and $1 million net proceeds coming out of some kind of coin exit, it's massive. In fact, I'm gonna share a screen here just to kind of get an idea of what's possible with the DST, and we're going to geek out a little bit with some of these charts here, which is we call it the Monday morning quarterback, right? The Monday morning quarterback, and this Monday morning quarterback is something where we all wish at one point we could do. We watched we're big 49er fans over here. Dan's a Raider fan, but they're always doing Monday morning quarterbacks for like who they can draft. We're actually in Super Bowls, like just thinking about, a couple of passes we could have made. But that being said, we still haven't won it in a while. You look at these charts and you start looking at opportunities to sell high and buy low. And even in this chart, as we're reviewing it right now, you have massive amounts of movement, right? And this movement creates, if you were to exit, either taxable gain, or it creates opportunity to wait. In fact, let's just do a 5-year horizon here, right? And this is something where if you're looking at opportunities to sell high and buy low, what's wild about cryptocurrency is how high it got. 65,000 in the October 7th of 2021, right around there, right? Just before that, it was at 31,000 in July of 2021. Backing up a little bit further, in 2020, September, it was at about 10,000, right? And so you saw this rapid appreciation up to $65,000 a coin, right? From about September of 2020 to about October, November of 2021, okay? And then you saw what? A massive crash down. Let's say looks like the bottom was about November, January, call it fourth quarter of 2022. Okay. And so this is what's called the Monday morning quarterback, right? And the reality is this is probably going to happen again in some form, right? This is going to drop again. Who knows if, I can't predict any of this stuff, but who knows how wild these swings can be. But ever in the history, has there been an asset class that is so highly appreciated so fast and crashed so fast, back and forth, kind of over and over and over again, and it's subject to capital gains tax, right? That's the challenge here, and this is where the DST is perfect. So in a Monday morning quarterback, what would you have done? Well, you would have bought Bitcoin from the very beginning, okay? But let's just say you had bought it in the past 5 years. You bought it at 5,000 a coin in 2020, and you rode it up to 65,000 a coin. You would have sold at the peak, right? but you would have been able to defer the tax. In fact, we had a client do this. In fact, she sold it at 54,000 a coin. She sold it right about here. Okay. Right about here. She sold it. That was August 29th of 2021, about 54,000 a coin, right around there. And she had bought $50,000 of Bitcoin, had gone to $50 million. She bought it in the very beginning. So it rode all the way up. She exited. Now, 65,000, I remember calling and saying, hey, do you want to exit now? And she said, no, I'm going to keep holding. We'll see. Well, what happened over the next period of time? It dropped all the way to about 16,000 a coin. Now, fortunately, she held on, and now it's back up. It's over 70,000 a coin right now, which is fantastic as of recording. But the point is, Dan, each of these moments are opportunities to sell high and get out and defer the tax and put it on the sidelines and let the market crash or let it go down. And guess what? You could buy it again low, all tax deferred, ride it back up. And so, Dan, when I say that, what comes to mind on anything I just said? Anything that sticks out?
I just think of the possibilities there and the taxable events. And if you can defer that, you can buy back in and continually get more and more of that asset. So the next time it rises up, you actually have a compounding effect because you already took your gain before, you deferred the taxes, and then you reinvested at a lower point and were able to ride it up again, really maximizing your returns.
Yeah. And so what we call that is tax flow, cash flow. And I guess we can even come up with another one called compounding flow, right? Like, how can you compound your wealth in a way that's so efficient and has timing on your side, right? Timing on your side. And so tax flow has to do with capital gains tax. Like every time you exit something that's highly appreciated, you're looking at 20, 30, 40, maybe 50% of the gain being wiped out. Well, if you can defer 100% of that, and you can put it on the sidelines, and while the market, tanks or goes down, whether that be real estate or business or cryptocurrency, and then you can buy back in tax deferred and go ahead and ride it back up. Like, to me, you're connecting tax flow, you're connecting compounding flow and cash flow. Cash flow might be you put into some of that into real estate, which some of our clients really like to do. They get out of a highly appreciated asset, they put it into real estate, it's producing some cash flow. You can diversify there. It makes me think, Dan, of one deal we were working on a couple of years ago with the client. And for him, it was, he had bought an NFT, and this NFT had exploded in value, over $100 million of value, right? And he thought it would go to, in fact, at one point it was 300 million, then it dropped to 150. When I talked to him about 150, he thought it was going to go back to 300. Well, guess what? It basically collapsed down to like almost nothing, right? And I remember I actually met him in Vegas. He's a big Raider fan, right? So he was like, "Hey,
another loss."
Yeah, and I was like, he actually pulled up.
I'm just crushing my own team right there. Ouch.
He pulled up in this really cool like Ferrari, or it was Ferrari or Lamborghini, Maserati. I think it was Maserati actually. It was amazing. It was really cool. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. He's like, yeah, I splurged a little bit. He goes, this and that, He goes, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but and he went through it all. And I'm like, well, we can exit now. And he goes, what do you want to do? You want to buy some real estate? Well, he waited too long and literally it just like collapsed. And so I haven't talked to him a little while. I should probably give him a call today, series that maybe things are back up again. Maybe he was really smart and now things are back up. But the point is, just think about that. He could have sold high, captured or locked in that gain, right? Diversified that wealth, and it wouldn't have prevented him from buying low, right? And so this is what's possible with the deferred sales trust. So that's a takeaway. Cryptocurrency. If you're interested, go to capitalgainstaxers.com. Dan, what's the next takeaway you have for the last 30 days?
So let me piggyback a little bit on that one by going to our mission statement. Capital gains tax solution exists to unlock capital gains, to unleash freedom and impact. Now let's focus on the freedom part of it for a second. One of the takeaways for me is seeing how many of our investors feel trapped. They feel like they have to either pay the tax or do a 1031 exchange. So they have 45 days to identify and 180 days to close. And so if they sold high, they have to buy high. And so it's not a great outcome. and learning how the DST gives the freedom to generate a return while staying liquid for the next borrowing opportunity. For me, that's like a huge takeaway of giving freedom to people that are like, hey, I sold high, I captured it at the right time. I want to generate a return in the short term while I wait for the market to return to a place where it's a great buying opportunity.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly right. We call that debt flow as well, right? Getting out of debt when it makes sense, and getting into debt when it makes sense, based upon where the market's at. And the one thing you must have is timing on your side and an ability to defer that capital gains tax, which creates the foundational framework for how the DST can be transformational for clients. Also, it's the foundation for how to make the DST an investment and not an expense. It's not just, oh, I'm just deferring tax. It's actually, no, I'm deferring tax and creating a wealth machine that can go to work with me. You can partner with the trust. You can buy assets with the trust. You can start a business with the trust. In fact, back to the cryptocurrency sale for the client who exited $5 million into the trust on her $50,000, $50 million game, she used the majority of that to fund, it's a seed capital to fund a startup company to provide freedom and impact for education. Right? Education. She did like a Khan Academy online to teach, especially kids that are underprivileged, online education, right? Like if you ever Khan Academy, KHAN, it's amazing. If you haven't checked that out. She did a similar one, and now there's thousands of kids learning, and she's making a freedom and impact with the wealth that she's been able to invest through the DST, tax deferred. In her scenario, she was looking at $1.85 million of tax without having to move to Puerto Rico, without having to give it all away to charity, with being able to be entrepreneur with the capital, to be able to build a business. She used the deferred sales trust to start that company, and she used it with a college roommate who they had the dream of doing it. And she no longer has to work for the big Google, right, company, the W2 Google. She can build her own tech company. And that's the neat part about freedom and impact. Oftentimes it's individual. And a lot of times it's also not, when it's individual, when you can get freedom and impact for yourself, it oftentimes means freedom and impact for others, right? So Dan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And that was one of my big takeaways from the year. Another one, obviously we all want to do what's best. We also want to do what's right and make sure that we're protected. And one of my big takeaways from the year was from our partnership with Campbell Law and the fact that they offer lifetime audit defense for our clients. And so when people enter in to the DST, they can have that peace of mind that they're doing what's right, they're doing what's best, but also they have a lifetime audit defense behind them to protect them going forward, where there's been multiple IRS audits that are no change and no finding. And so that was a huge takeaway for me as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, it's got to be foundational. I say there's at least three-legged, stool, right, or three-legged, chair, if you will, to the DST. And the number one is the legal audit track record, and the legal actual transaction track record, right? And the legal team that represents you. And so CPA, tax attorney, DST attorney, our strategic alliance and partners, they do all that legal work. That's their focus, the transaction, and also the lifetime audit defense, of which over 24 no change IRS audits, state and federal, also formal audits, promoter audits, all no change, no findings. It's never been on a watch list. It's never been on a dirty dozen. It's never been on anything that is that you would want to definitely run the other way from. And so the DST, it has a perfect legal track record, and that's the foundation for how we have the conviction and the certainty that it's an amazing solution for our clients. Number two is the trustee. Right? The trustee, that's the next part of it. That's our role here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, where we're helping people day to day implement the business strategy, and also coming alongside of them, our unique approach is through a real estate investment advisor is the way that we approach the business through real estate. But we also have amazing strategic alliances with cryptocurrency, with financial advising, with business valuation and purchasing, with franchising. We've got an amazing kind of dream team that we can show to you and connect you with through our network and through our actual partners, to provide what I call the full flywheel of the wealth plan, or your wealth plan, right? Where each area you have a specialist that's going to help you achieve what you're looking to achieve. And so we're more than a trustee. We like to approach the business as being a trusted advisor to help you with your next wealth journey. Okay, whether that be buying business, buying real estate, investing into cryptocurrency, investing into the stock market, passively or actively into real estate, and or figuring out the way to structure the trust to be a joint venture partner with you to start that next business venture. And so we approach this like an entrepreneur. We approach this like a real estate investor. And then we're bringing specialists to help us on the other areas. Dan, any thoughts on that?
I just think, in the first 30 days talking with clients, it's so important to be able to capture that opportunity to defer, 25 to 40% capital gains tax, but have the peace of mind that you have a team behind you that is going to protect you and make sure everything's done right and lead you in the right direction. And as we go through life, minimizing stress and being able to focus on the things that matter are so important. And so, for me, it's important to talk to clients to go, hey, you can have peace of mind because of the track record, because of the support, because of the team, because of the overarching strategic partners that we work with. You're protected and you have people that are with you that are experts in what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you're wanting to learn more and get started, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We've also got a best-selling book that we released. It's called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. And it's basically my journey to the deferred sales trust and some client transformational stories, which is pretty cool. We also have Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book as well, sharing about mentoring to millions and how he's making an impact with everything that he's built, which is pretty neat. And we have like Don Winter talking about the way that he's been able to build an elite organization with DLP Capital, which is one of our number one strategic alliances. Joe Fairless with the Best Ever Real Estate Conference and Best Ever number one podcast in the country for real estate. Anyways, lots of cool stuff on there. You can check out the book on Amazon to learn more about the deferred sales trust and other things we're talking about. Dan, what else comes to mind? Anything come to mind on the next takeaway?
Yeah, another takeaway is just timing is so important in exits, and having everything prepared beforehand is very important as you're going through a complicated deal. And so one of the takeaways for me is just the fact that we have a conditional engagement, that we have zero pressure to use the DST, and we offer zero cost due diligence as we set up everything to where as you go into your exit, if that's the thing that works best for you, everything is set up and prepared for you to move forward. And it's zero cost and zero risk to you, but we move in front and prepare everything in advance for you.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we like to just we talk, but we like to just do it with action, right? Which is like, hey, we've got full transparency. We'll actually compare and contrast other strategies that you're looking at. We'll compare and contrast the 1031 exchange. Sometimes we'll tell you to do the 1031 exchange, right? There's times when we tell you to do the Delaware Statutory Trust. In fact, sometimes we're doing all three into one transaction. And so our goal is to honestly show up and put your best interest first, show you all the options and let you decide what's best for you. And sometimes it's a mixture of a couple strategies, but oftentimes it is just the deferred sales trust because it's just so flexible. And the part I think where a lot of clients really appreciate, it's a tailored investment strategy with the deferred sales trust. It allows for customized investment strategies that align with your particular financial goals, as well as your risk tolerance, right? Not a lot of strategies can do that in a way that is entrepreneurial as well if you want to be an entrepreneur again. A lot of our clients do want to retire, but they want to be working with people that have the entrepreneurial spirit and have connections for deals that are going to give a solid return, but not have to take a lot of risk on. And so that ability to have both is what I think creates the transformation for so many of our clients. So good. What else, Dan? Anything come to mind?
Just what I've heard you talk about a lot of times, that with the DST, you're able to create a new depreciation schedule. Why don't you share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the cool things is if you want to be an entrepreneur, especially if you're wanting to buy real estate, right? The trust can partner with you to go buy that investment real estate. It can't be a primary home, that's taxable, but investment real estate. Although if you want to buy a primary home, you can just take a distribution from the trust. The trust, you can pay tax on that and go buy a primary home. But if you're wanting to buy investment real estate, is a good example. Let's just say you had $25 million in Bitcoin, right? And you're looking at no depreciation on Bitcoin, right? maybe little to no cash flow on the Bitcoin, right? Unless you're like doing margin and borrowing against it, which can be also kind of dangerous as well. And you're like, look, I like to capture this 25 million and I like to defer the tax and I like to go buy investment real estate. And to keep it really simple, let's just say you put a $20 million down payment on a $50 million apartment complex. Well, the neat part about buying investment real estate is it has a built-in what's called ability to depreciate the hard asset of the building, of the roof, of the air conditioning system, of the everything, the doors, the electronics. All of the apartment complex, it's a physical asset, can be depreciated, which goes into what's called tax flow. Tax flow basically means you're offsetting the cash flow that's flowing from an asset. And on paper, it's a paper loss, but you can still collect the cash flow, right? And so let's just say you had, again, the 20 million in a DST that you deferred the tax on, or 25, let's say you put 5 million into liquid investments to keep some diversification. The other 20 goes into that an investment real estate property, which can flow through depreciation to you, right? Personally, the way that we structure it, as long as you're partnering with the trust. And this is a really cool concept where you're creating depreciation on what you would have paid, let's just say 33%, if you lived in California, as an example, of tax on that $25 million exit. And so we're connecting cash flow, tax flow with a new depreciation schedule, which helps you to grow wealth in a really powerful way. Dan, did I answer the question pretty well, or any thoughts on that?
That's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And all of our clients feel the same way about it. So anything else you want to say on that, or you want to do the final takeaway?
No, I think I would just say that, when I say all that, people's heads start to spin, and we get it. That's why you hire the who, not be the how, right? People want to like really try to understand it as best they can. And we definitely have whiteboards and like ways to like show you all this. But it is us as the experts helping guide you on this. Talk with your CPA. We're happy to talk with your financial advisor, happy to talk with whoever, right, to walk them through this. But it is like riding a bike. Like, the 10,000 hours is in the head here. And after all the years of real estate and structuring deals and DSTs and Delaware Statutory Trust and 1031 exchanges, it's all there. And our team executes that and we'll walk you through that. But it is like riding a bike. You are trusting us to execute this business plan. But as you ride the bike with us, it does become more comfortable. You get to speed up. And we like to say by the end of it, or within a year of you closing, you're going to be, you're going to be able to sell it really well, right? If you wanted to. A lot of people send us referral business once they get it. And it's really that cool. At the same time, we're also cautious not to give away all of our secrets. It's proprietary, it's protected. We don't want to give our competition an up leg, right, on what we're doing. So anyway, so that's just a little bit of caveat on that. If you don't understand it all, yeah, you're 99% of our clients. They're not going to understand it all. But if you spend more time with us, you read the book, watch our videos, you're going to get more and more comfortable with it. But essentially, you have to take a step and trust us that we're going to execute this on a way that's going to be amazing. Yep. So that's it, Dan. What do you think on the last one here?
One more, and really maybe one of the most important things for me. I want to go back to our purpose statement. Capital gains tax solution exists to unlock capital gains, to unleash freedom and impact. And I'll focus on the impact for a second. I come from the nonprofit world. I led a nonprofit that worked with underserved students in the city. And what I learned from that is the generosity of a lot of entrepreneurs in our city that I knew nothing about. It's really hard to be generous when every time you make an exit, everything gets tied up in tax, and you can't build a wealth strategy that meets the needs of your family, but also allows you to meet the needs of the world. And so for me, one huge takeaway for me is how much ability we create for people to pursue the passion projects they have, the things in their life that they say, I would love to make a difference in this place. In our company, we call it our MVPs, our most vulnerable people that we want to make an impact on. But I feel a huge takeaway for our company is creating the opportunity for our clients to pursue those things that are heavy on their heart, that they know they can make a difference in the short time they have on this world.
Dan, amen and amen. I appreciate you highlighting that and saying that so well. For anyone who wants to take action, we want to encourage you to do that. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more. We have a whole playlist of client transformational stories. If you click on the playlist and look at client success stories, Again, we got the book, the best-selling book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. But you can also go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com right now. If you have a $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain, large enough transaction, you can qualify for a no-cost consultation to see if the deferred sales trust could be a great fit for you. Just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, that's all I got for the day, Dan. Great job. I think we did at least 10. Takeaways, right?
We'll just keep throwing them out. Go to 20, go to 30.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you guys got some good takeaways here, and we'll be back to hang out with you guys again real soon. Appreciate you watching this and consuming it.